Okay, fellow YouTubers, I just got a message from G-Went Sews. He just knocked his timing out of whack on his machine and it won't pick the thread up. Now, I made my video the first time and it was shortly after that I had the exact same problem. What actually happened was I got a thread got jammed up in the bobbin. And when it got jammed up in the bobbin, I couldn't turn the wheel, and I couldn't turn it, so I gave it a good whack, and we'll come to find out what happened was the spider gears actually separated. Now this particular machine has a slip clutch in it, which is this round thing right here. Okay. There's a little ball bearing in there. I found all this information out after I went through this problem. The little ball bearing in there is the key. Okay, right here in the deck of the machine, there's a little stop, and you can put that in and lock it. And what you should be able to do is you should be able to pop that clutch. If you can't see that ball bearing, that means this clutch has been popped. Well, the problem I had with mine was it being brand new. Mine was stuck. So what I ended up doing is I took two pairs of vice grips. And I put one here and one here. And vice versa, I'm sorry. One here and one here. And I put it on there. And I gave it a good twist to pop it. And with that clutch not popping on mine, it ended up knocking the timing out from the top to the bottom. Make it a little bit easier for you. It's page 25 in the manual. It actually shows a picture of the inside of it, and it shows you the little pin in the deck. If you don't have a manual, you might be able to find one online. So after finding out that my clutch didn't pop and I knocked the timing out of whack, and what I ended up doing was I spread the spider gears which this is one here. And this is the other one here. This shaft goes down through the center of the machine where your tensioner knob is. And here's your upper wheel. And there's that other gear right there. And it's got this little aluminum housing over it. And it took me a little bit it took me a while to get this thing timed. Now, I can give you a little bit of an idea of where it is. Okay, you got to pop this cover off here. And there's two holes here on the side. And there's a cover here on the side. You don't want to cut. You can pull this one off. I believe I did, because this big heavy cover holds that shaft. It holds it in place. So you got to be careful when you pull this cover off, that when you put it back on, it's holding onto that shaft. And there's another screw underneath there. And that little cover right there, it will split apart. And you can actually slide that cover out of there. If you get a pair of needle nose pliers, you can slide both halves out of there so you can get down in there. And what you actually have to do is there's a set screw on the downside here. There's a set screw that's on them gears, and what you actually have to do is you got to slide that gear over so it meshes properly with the bottom gear. After I got that done, like I said, it's this gear here that one there, which is page 28. And that gear there. You can see the set screws. The bottom one didn't move. It was the top one. That's page 37. The top one is the one that moved. Let's see, where was I? Right there. There's one set screw. There's another set screw. And what happened is that slid. Now these are, I believe they're brass gears. I don't remember. It's been so long since I've had my machine apart. I believe they're brass gears. So, you know, I'm very happy that I didn't buzz a gear out of it. Brand new machine. I don't want to have to do that. After getting them lined back up, what I ended up doing was, you can actually see I got a mark there. If I can get there. See that black mark? What I ended up having to do is, that black mark? What I ended up having to do is I had to set the timing. You got to make sure you set the timing from this fork to the bobbin cage. And you can kind of see I got to, right there, get this to focus. That's another mark I got right there. I think it's another mark I have here. And let's see, I got thread in my machine here. And it is very hard to try to get this up inside here, but when they give you in the manual, I know it's kind of hard to understand how they have it listed in the machine, but they do have, it's page 19, and the upper picture there, they do show all your measurements and everything for setting the hook on the machine. And pretty much what I did is I brought my, you also have to make sure, see if I can get a good picture here. Oh, I got a broken needle in the machine. I just did that. You got to make sure that the, let me just grab one here. If I can get this to focus. Hang on a sec. Okay, sorry about that. I went ahead and I changed the needle. I have been using some extremely heavy thread through the machine, and I ended up I broke the needle. Okay, anyways, you see that flat? That flat right there has to be facing the inside of the machine, because the hook on that bobbin that comes around and grabs that thread, that's where it comes up through. It's right through there to grab that thread, and it's got a line on this side. There's a groove in the needle where the thread goes down into. So you got to make sure it's facing the inside. It can't be turned, because then you're actually going to hear it. You're going to hear it ticking off of the hook, and what that's actually doing is it's running up against the needle. That will break your needle. Okay. This is the hook on the bobbin case that I'm talking about, where it catches the thread. Is right there. No, I'm sorry, wrong one. Right there. Hopefully you can see it in the video. there's actually like a little, like it like hangs out, and that's where it catches the thread right there. And the measurements in the book are correct. It could be you have a piece of thread that is stuck inside this this case. So what I ended up doing was I undid this set screw here. This shaft will come right out. Pull that shaft right out. There's a couple set screws inside here, and the whole bobbin case and everything will come right out. And you can take these little flathead screws out, which is the casing around it, and then you can pull the inner piece out. Mine came out really hard. I had to use 2 pairs of channel locks to get it out because I had a piece of thread that was wound up inside there. And then what you got to do is you got to go from this point, and it's got to make a revolution, catch the thread, and then when it comes down, you see that cam right there. It catches the thread, the cam comes out, the hook comes around, this cam will push this holder, that right there, will flop it, the thread will allow to come through, and it flops back down, and then it pulls it up through the top and then creates a knot. I know it probably sounds very intimidating. It took me about 2 days to get the timing set on my machine. Like I said, this was a brand new machine and I knocked the timing out of whack. But the plus side of my machine knocking out of whack is I adjusted the mesh on the gears, and it runs a lot smoother. They actually had the gears too tight from the factory. So this is that clutch, and double check and see if you have a ball bearing in there, because when mine got jammed in the bobbin, my ball bearing was still there. This did not pop. So what I ended up doing was putting vice grips on it and disengaging it, and engaging it, disengaging it, and engaging it. And like I said, you got that right in the bed. There's, you can see it moving there. It locks the shaft. You should be able to lock the shaft and hit the wheel, and it should pop that ball bearing. I'm not going to do it on my machine right now because I know everything works properly on my machine. So you gotta have a lot of patience with it. And like I said, double check the mesh of gears. The ones on the bottom here, those were fine. It was the one that was on the top. What actually happened, like I said, I grabbed a hold of the wheel and I rocked it forward, and it actually just took that gear and pushed that gear forward. So I remeshed that gear back up, and then I redid all the timing down here. You can adjust the timing on this fork too. Now there's no flats on that shaft, so it makes it very, you can set it any which way you need to. But just try to get yourself some points to go by, a rough idea to go by before you start. Now you said that you were breaking thread. I don't know what you're running for thread. The thread that I'm using is upholstery thread. I got this stuff here. This is V69 thread. Let's see, this one here is that's another 69 thread. This one here, this is 138 thread. And 92 thread, V92. Okay, this is 69, that's 92, and that is 138. That's the thread I use. And you gotta be, if you're breaking this thread, there's something seriously wrong. I don't know what you're running for thread size. If you're running a regular size thread, I don't know how that would run through this machine, because I've always used a heavy thread. Same thing with needle sizes. I also have a couple things on my Pinterest with needle sizes. I made a couple things for my wife, some curtains, and the needle size was actually too big. I was using a 22. Well, that's what came with the machine, so I used it. There is get it to focus here. 22s, 20s, 21s. You can see down in the corner there. 21, 18, 16, and 14. Those are the recommended sizes for this machine. 14 and up. I'm actually using between 18 and 20. I think I got 21s too. I'm using 18 and 20s for this heavy thread. That's your needle type, 135 by 17. And I believe it's like 135 by 16 is pretty much the same thing. So if you're gonna use a 69 thread, good size to use is 16 and 18. V92 thread, 18. 18 is a good size. And if you're using 138 thread, 21, 20. There we go. 20, 21, or 22. 22 is a giant needle. That comes with the machine. And once you actually get an assorted pack of needles and you put them next to each other, like I said, check out my Pinterest. I've got a close-up picture of each one of these needles. And there's a big difference in the needle size. So I don't know what you're using for thread size, or reason why you're breaking it. You know, I know this particular machine, it's an industrial machine, so it's supposed to run big thread. I ended up with using the 138 thread. I have it ran 1-2, and it comes down, and it only goes through 1. Because running it through all 3, the tension's too high for it, and I can't adjust the bobbin. Now with the 69 thread, I'll use all 3 of them. I'll go 1, 2, 3, all the way through. So I don't know what you're using for thread. Like I said, you can try doing this. You know, maybe it's putting too much tension on it. I found out with using the 138 thread, I actually had to take my bobbin tree, or my thread tree. I had to move the top piece all the way to the top, and I had to run the holder all the way down to the bottom, because what was happening is the thread was actually getting it was sticking on the bobbin, and every time it did that, it changed the tension in the machine. So that's, by moving it down further, it actually allows it to snap off the spool, and I don't have no tension difference. So that's the other thing you can try. You know, you can try just going through 1 hole. You don't have to go through 2 holes. Every thread's going to be different for size wise. So the only thing I can say to try is try that. All right. Anything else I can help you with? give me a shout. Thanks.